Today, we've talked about threats to our democracy, truth decay, First Amendment rights under assault, and now a barometer of America's economic health and well-being, the state of Black America. This year's annual State of Black America report, which is put out by the National Urban League, reveals signs of progress over the last 8 years. The economy added 15 million new jobs. Black unemployment rate improved, and high school graduation rates for African Americans went up. But could that progress be reversed by Trump administration policies? A year ago, we visited Gary, Indiana, population 77,000. 37% of the citizens live below the poverty line compared to a national average of 13%. This once thriving steel town is a bellwether of Black America. About 80% of the city's residents are Black. When we spoke to Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson a year ago, she told us she was optimistic that jobs were returning, air and water quality were improving, and hardship was giving way to hope. Mayor Freeman Wilson is back with us today. It's so nice to talk to you. A year ago, you were optimistic. How do you feel now?
Well, I am still cautiously optimistic. I'm an optimist by nature, but there are grave areas of concern. Obviously, there was improvement when you look at the Urban League's report, when you look at the social and the income equality and other indices that they use. But at the same time, I see policies coming out of the Trump administration that threaten all aspects of that, from health to economics to education to social justice.
Before we get specifically to policy, I want to ask you about retail, because certainly there's a number of retail jobs that have recently gone away in Gary. You've got Payless and Dollar Express and Gander Mountain and Sears and Kmart, and that's the short list of retailers who've either really struggled or closed up shop altogether. What will you do to replace those retail jobs that in turn had replaced the steel and manufacturing jobs?
We have seen a decline in a number of our retail jobs, but we have also been recruiting light manufacturers, advanced manufacturers, and that's going well. In fact, one of the other strategies that we've seen success in is providing jobs to residents outside of the city, that is providing transportation to residents in other communities. We do that with UPS. We are engaged in working out an arrangement with Lippert Components in Elkhart, Indiana. They need employees. We have individuals who need jobs. We have citizens who need jobs. And so we're looking to marry our citizens with jobs that may not always be in Gary.
The president has made it clear that he is going to roll back a lot of the functions and restrictions of the EPA, regulations certainly, even staffing of the EPA. What are your concerns with these changes that are going to be coming, most likely, to the EPA?
We expect the EPA to protect our communities, and to say that they are going to return authority to the state and local government, that sounds like a good thing when you talk about local control, but there are some things as it relates to the environment, as it relates to setting standards, that only the federal government can do. And so, you know, when we look at the protection of water, when we look at the protection of land and making sure that our citizens are not subjected to housing on contaminated land, that is something that we need the EPA to continue to be involved in.
Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for joining me.
It's great to hear you and be with you again and see you, Soledad. Thank you for having me.